So kind of in the lines of nervous system work, because you mentioned it,
Hmm.
I feel like that's another thing we hear a lot of too, right? And it kind of goes
Yes.
hand in hand with that somatic work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit more about nervous system regulation and how we might be dysregulated,
Hmm.
how we might recognize we're dysregulated, and some ways we can help regulate or even co-regulate?
Yeah, absolutely. So, honoring the first bit, right? That nervous system regulation is another buzzword out there lately. To me, what it's ultimately coming to is we all have a nervous system. In fact, we have multiple, right? When we talk about nervous system regulation, most people are referring to the autonomic nervous system. So I'm going to put my little educator hat on and we're going to talk about that piece first so that we're on the same page about it. Autonomic nervous system refers to a lot of automatic, just like it sounds, functions like our heart rate, our breathing, our digestive system, even our vision at times, right? Whether we have focused vision or more peripheral vision, it impacts whether our thoughts are like smooth and paced or racing or frozen. It impacts our muscle tension. Um, what else? It regulates our bladder and our bowels. So, this system, again, relates often to fight or flight. If people are talking about fight or flight, they're talking about the autonomic nervous system. It has two branches: sympathetic or stress, parasympathetic or relaxation. I always remember S for stress and parasympathetic like the parachute that brings you down. So, these are like a seesaw. When one is up, the other is down, and vice versa. We don't have a ton of control over our sympathetic or our stress response, AKA fight or flight, unless you've been like specifically trained and designed like highly specialized snipers or something like that, right? You've got to control your breathing while you're also like engaging in this highly functional task. Um, on the flip side, we can control our parasympathetic response. The active ingredient is the breath. Always, always, always the breath. So people can package nervous system regulation in a lot of different ways that are really lovely and beautiful, but the access is often going to come through the breath, right? Like the work is not going to be accomplished without the breath is maybe a different way to say it. Um, so ways to recognize that you're dysregulated. Well, anything that is a sign of sympathetic activation, so muscle tightness, loss of bladder or bowel control, reduced peripheral vision, sweaty palms, dry mouth. Um, in terms of like what's going on in the mind, some people, when stressed, can get in like a flow state, right? Frankly, we can think of a panic attack as a flow state. I can't get off the track of what I'm panicked about. Or some people are scattershot, right? They can't like grab a full sentence out of their head. I like to think about this with like the elevator analogy. You go into an elevator, it gets stuck. How do people respond? You've got the person who's panicking a bit, who is maybe more like emotionally frantic, if you will. And then maybe you have the person who's like, holy crap, they're like really good under stress because they're just like, dut, 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 dut. Right. And so, all to say, these combinations of our stress can be absolutely adaptive. We want our stress response. We want to be able to fight to defend ourselves and survive, or flee to defend ourselves and survive. We don't want to cut out those responses. But when they get out of whack, then our system is essentially constantly responding like there is stress or threat present. And I think that's what makes integrative work so important, right? To be able to recognize, wait, what is the stress or threat my body is responding to? So many times we don't know or we don't realize it, or we're not aware, right? We think we've like worked through the mental bits of a stressor that occurred, but then our body is still responding. Did I answer all parts of your question? How else to
You
recognize it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So you said something really key that I love because it simplifies it so much is that it always comes back to the breath.
The breath is the active ingredient.
Yes. So, excuse me, as I struggle to breathe right now because I'm just like
Which
trying to
is why we have
swallow.
other pathways with the breath too.
um, so do you have any breath work practices that you walk clients through or um, other other practices that you recommend to help people become aware of their breath?
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of the awareness piece comes back to that mindfulness muscle, right? Can we just monitor the breath? And again, in the bucket of folks that I work with who are like the people who are like, give me the homework, I'm taking the notes, write it all on the board. I'm going to do it like 10 times more than you said. I tend to say, let's really hone in on that awareness, right? Let's not try so hard. So, but I do think that that is truly key data, because if you don't know what your normal breath is like, how do you know when it's out of whack? How do you know to catch when it's um, increased, when you're holding it, right? I will offer a really big tell that your breath is dysregulated is that you sigh a lot, because the sigh is the exhale from holding your breath unconsciously. Another big tell that the nervous system is dysregulated is that when you go to slow the breath, it feels hella uncomfortable. That's a sign that your sympathetic response is really activated. And so all those coaching techniques of bringing you like low down or like, whoa, 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 nope, 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 right? Like almost induce their own stress response. So in that sense, I don't have like a blanket thing I would invite people to do other than be aware of where your own breath is at. A really good way to see that is to make some contact, right? So, coming back to the somatic part, let your body give you feedback. You don't just have to watch with the mind, you can watch with another part of your soma. So, very common practice, one hand on chest, one hand on belly, and just breathing and seeing what moves. Normally, an ideal parasympathetic breath is coming from the belly, right? We talk about belly breathing, deep breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, all the same thing to describe the fact that you're inhaling enough that you press on the diaphragm, you activate the vagus nerve, you activate a parasympathetic response. So even just being aware of, oh, I breathe really shallow. I breathe a lot through my chest because my belly's not moving, something like that. Another thing that I will invite people to do when they're getting to know this, or when they're really aware, like, oh, I'm a thoracic breather. It's all happening right here and none of it's moving lower. Uncomfy suggestion, but it works. Sit in front of a mirror and watch your shoulders. Because you will watch your shoulders doing this when you are thoracic breathing, and they will become a lot more still when the breath moves down into the belly.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
I
I have
like that.
another one that I like to offer when stress is high. It's called the 478 breath. I won't be surprised at all if the majority of folks listening to this call have actually heard about it before, but just in case not, it represents like a 3-part breath. I've also heard it been referred to as triangle breath. You breathe in through the nose for a count of 4, hold at the top for a count of 7, and then exhale super slow through pursed lips for a count of 8. And pursed lips is like your I like to tell people it's like you're blowing out a birthday candle, or not a birthday candle, my bad, because people will huff and puff at a birthday candle. Act like you're blowing a bubble, right? If you're blowing a bubble and you go, it's just going to splatter everywhere. You're not going to get what you want. So that one can be really effective at kind of hitting a hard reset button. So when I use it a lot, if I'm like particularly stressed before a conversation or something like that, and I just need like a little bit of a reset. Now, I'm really well versed at breath work, so I can do it and have no problem. Folks who this is new to, I would not recommend that you do more than 3 in a row, because there is such a thing as kind of going too deep too fast, like going from 60 to 0 too quickly, instead of the opposite analogy that we use, which can lead to um, like a sense of hyperventilation. So cues for this would be you begin to feel a little lightheaded, or you are like yawning even though you're not tired. That's just a cue to take it down a notch. Don't go so hard so fast.
Good to know, because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching that are like, go big or go home. You want it
Yeah,
all or you don't
exactly.
want it all.
Yes.
I can attest to being that way sometimes about, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to like self growth and development and
Same.
healing. I just want to like go hard and fast, and so
Same.
that's
I know. And I
good
think
tip.
we exist a bit in a, if culture is a fair word to use, a culture of wellness lately that's like, give me the deliverables. How are you going to get me there, right? Like it's borrowing language from other domains that perhaps work in a more concrete way. And I just don't think humans work that way. So
Yeah.